Sometimes, a woman's greatest weapon is not what she says, but what she chooses not to say. For 30 years, I stopped and restarted hearts in operating rooms. I saved lives, trained dozens of students, contributed to medical literature. But to be close to my son, to be a good mother to him, I left everything behind, quietly. I chose a simple life. So, who am I to my daughter-in-law? An uneducated, stupid, simple woman, an old cleaning lady, as she calls me. For 3 years, I endured every insult. I covered every humiliation with silence, because I loved my son. I wanted to see his family happy. But that evening, when she used the word stupid in front of her guests, it was time to put my resume on the table. Because sometimes, you have to know the right moment to break your silence. If this story touched your soul, click subscribe and let me know in the comments which city or country you're listening from. I'm grateful to everyone who comments. My name is Margaret Holloway. I'm 68 years old and live in a small but adequate house in Boston's Beacon Hill neighborhood. The roses in my garden and my morning coffees were enough for me. I was once the youngest chief heart surgeon at Johns Hopkins Hospital, but that was my secret now. Can you imagine what was going through my mind that Saturday evening as I headed to my son Thomas's house for dinner? Please be kind this time, I prayed. Please don't humiliate me this time. When Patricia, my daughter-in-law, opened the door, she had that same fake smile on her face. Her perfect makeup, her $3,000 Chanel dress, that flashy diamond on her finger, everything screamed, "I'm perfect. You're not." "Oh, Margaret," she said, wrinkling her nose even as she said my name. "You're here. Thomas isn't home. His meeting ran late. But you can help in the kitchen, right? After all, you're good at simple tasks like that." It had been like this for 3 years. For 3 years, every sentence was a stab, every glance a humiliation. I went inside. There were 6 people in the large living room, Patricia's high society friends. They all looked at me like, you know, that look. The "who is this? Is she the maid?" Look. "Everyone, this is Thomas's mother, Margaret," Patricia said, as if confessing to some shameful secret. "Yes, I know. She lives a bit, simply. But that's how old people are, isn't it? Have you ever felt like a stranger in your own family, like you're not in your own home, but somewhere you've entered without permission?" I headed to the kitchen, a large, modern, sterile kitchen. Patricia had, of course, had everything done by catering companies. All I could do was arrange the plates. "Margaret, could you open the wine?" Patricia called from the living room. "Oh, wait. You wouldn't know how to open such expensive wine. I'll take care of it." I took a deep breath. "You can do it, Margaret," I whispered to myself. "For your son." When Thomas arrived, he rushed inside, his tie still crooked, his face tired. He was 42, but that night he looked as helpless as a 1-2-year-old child. His eyes softened when he saw me. "Mom, I'm glad you're here. How are you?" I stepped forward to hug him, but Patricia stepped in. "Honey, you're late. The guests are waiting. Come on, change your clothes. We're starting dinner." Thomas looked at me apologetically and went upstairs. We sat down at the table. I was at the far end, away from Patricia's friends, like an excluded child. Throughout the meal, the conversation was about work, money, vacation plans. Patricia's friend Brenda said, "We're going to Provence in August, for the 3rd time. Margaret, have you ever been to France?" Patricia answered for her. "Brenda, I don't think Margaret has ever even been on a plane. Right, Margaret? You've always been more of a local." Yet I had spoken at countless medical conferences in Paris, London, Tokyo, but I stayed silent. I looked at Thomas. He was staring at his plate, eating silently. Did he hear his wife belittling me? Did he care? "Margaret, what did you used to do?" asked a man named Michael at the table. He seemed genuinely curious. I opened my mouth, but Patricia interrupted again. "Oh, Margaret is very modest. She doesn't talk about it much. Just simple jobs, you know. But she's retired now, she's past that age." "Simple jobs? 3,247 heart surgeries? 15 years as a faculty member at Harvard Medical School? 47 articles published in the New England Journal of Medicine. But I stayed silent again. What would you have done? Would you have spoken the truth or remained silent? Dinner was over. Patricia stood up, raising her wine glass. I have a little announcement to make. Her eyes sparkled. I, Patricia Holloway, have been promoted to Director of Human Resources at Chamberlain Medical Devices. Applause. Congratulations. Patricia continued, You know, it's not easy to be in this industry, especially when working with people who don't understand medical matters. She looked at me. Some people stay in simple jobs, others rise. That's life. Margaret, you can't understand, of course, but how success feels. Congratulations, Patricia, I said quietly. Thank you, she said, then turned to her friends. Actually, I was talking about my mother-in-law the other day. Poor thing, she never got an education. Thomas tries to help her, of course. But what can you do? She's old, stupid. Patricia. Thomas's voice was sharp. Mom isn't stupid. Oh, Thomas, you always defend her. But let's be realistic. Your mother never even went to college. She worked menial jobs her whole life. And now? Actually, I said calmly. Everyone turned to me. I graduated from Johns Hopkins Medical School in 1979. Silence. Patricia laughed. Margaret, what are you saying? No. And then I completed my heart surgery residency at Johns Hopkins. I became chief surgeon in 1985. I worked in operating rooms for 28 years. Patricia's face turned bright red. This is nonsense. I took a folder out of my bag. It contained my resume. I placed it in the middle of the table. Shall I read it to you? Thomas asked, Mom, what's this? His voice was trembling. I opened the file. A heavy silence fell over the table. Patricia's wineglass hung frozen in midair. Dr. Margaret Elizabeth Holloway, I began. Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. 1979. Summa cum laude. Specialization in cardiovascular surgery. 1985. Chief surgeon position. 1987 to 2015. Michael leaned forward, his eyes widening. You're a heart surgeon? I'm a retired heart surgeon, I corrected. I performed surgeries actively for 28 years, 3,247 open heart surgeries. My success rate was 97.3%. Have you ever seen the moment a bomb explodes? That's what Patricia's face looked like. Red, white, then red again. This isn't possible, she stammered. You never mentioned. Because you never asked me, Patricia. I turned the page calmly. Publications. 47 articles in the New England Journal of Medicine. 23 articles in JAMA. 12 articles in The Lancet. International conferences I've spoken at. 89. Brenda's mouth hung open. So you. Really. Awards, I continued. Gold medal from the American College of Surgeons, 2003. Johns Hopkins Excellence in Surgery Award, 2008, 2011, 2013. Governor of Maryland's Medical Service Recognition Award, 2010. Thomas stood up, trembling, and took the file into his hands. He began flipping through the pages. Tears welled up in his eyes. Mom, I didn't know about these. You never mentioned them. I know, son, I said softly. I didn't mention it because I wanted to be a good mother to you. I wanted to spend time with you. But I see now that my silence was misunderstood. Patricia jumped to her feet. No, this can't be true. You're just an old stupid woman. I finished her sentence. In your words, uneducated, simple-minded. You used those words at dinner tonight, Patricia, but you've used them hundreds of times before. Everyone at the table was staring at us in shock. You know, I continued, 3 years ago, when I found out my son was getting married, I was very happy. I thought he wouldn't be alone anymore. He was starting a family, and I decided to retire. Because being a doctor, it's exhausting work. 24-hour shifts, saving lives, constant stress. But spending time with my son, That seemed more valuable to me than anything else. Thomas started crying. Mom, I'm sorry. I should have known. How could you have known, Thomas? I didn't tell you, because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for my achievements. I turned to Patricia. For the first time, I looked directly into her eyes. Patricia, tonight you and your friends humiliated me, but there's something I want you to know. This isn't the first time. For 3 years, at every family dinner, every visit, every phone call, you've belittled me. I didn't mean it that way, Patricia began. No, I said sharply. That's exactly what you meant. You said, Thomas's mother is uneducated. You said, poor thing. She doesn't know anything. And remember that one time? You told your friends, my mother-in-law is a bit slow. I heard you. Silence. And now, I pulled another page from the file. Now tell me, Patricia. You became the Human Resources Director at Chamberlain Medical Devices, correct? Yes, Patricia said, her voice cracking. I know that company, because I served on their medical advisory board from 2008 to 2012. We developed heart valve prostheses. Maybe you heard my name there? Dr. Margaret Holloway? Patricia's face went pale. Michael suddenly spoke up. Wait, your name. Did you develop Chamberlain's famous Holloway Protocol? Yes, I said. The post-surgical patient follow-up protocol. Is it still in use? It is, Michael exclaimed. I sell cardiovascular devices. Your protocol is the industry standard. Dr. Holloway, it's an honor to meet you personally. Enough! Patricia shouted. Tears were streaming from her eyes, but it was unclear whether they were from anger or shame. You played games with me. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ever mention it? Because, I said calmly but firmly, I don't have to show you my resume to earn your respect, Patricia. I am already valuable. Whether I'm educated or not, whether I'm a doctor or not, I am Thomas's mother, and that should be reason enough for you to respect me. So what do you think? Do you need to know someone's achievements to show them respect? Or does every person deserve respect, regardless of who they are? Thomas slammed his fist on the table. Patricia, how could this be? For 3 years. For 3 years. Is this how you've seen my mother? I just... Patricia looked around helplessly. Her friends were averting their eyes. No one was supporting her. Brenda stood up. I think I should go. Dr. Holloway, meeting you was truly an honor. She bowed respectfully to me. The others got up one by one. Everyone shook my hand as they left, but they gave Patricia a cold look. In the end, only the 3 of us remained. Thomas, Patricia, and me. Thomas clutched his bag. I need some air. He headed for the door but turned back. Mom, we need to talk. But not now. I can't talk to you properly right now. I've learned so much and I'm angry. At myself. At Patricia. At everyone. He left. Patricia and I were left alone in the large dining room. You ruined me, Patricia said quietly, in front of my friends. No, Patricia, I said. You ruined yourself. I just told the truth. But why now? Why did you wait until now? Because, Patricia, I was hoping. Every time I thought, maybe this time will be different. I waited, thinking, maybe this time you'll treat me like a human being. But tonight when you called me stupid in front of your guests, I realized you'll never change. And I don't have to put up with it anymore. I grabbed my bag. I walked to the door. Wait, said Patricia. At the company. Your name. Could they fire me? I turned around. You figure that out, Patricia. After all, you're the Human Resources Director, aren't you? And I left the house. After that night, sitting in my car, my phone kept ringing. It was Thomas calling. But I didn't answer. Not yet. Because there was a story to tell. A 3-year story. I came home. I looked at the roses. They were still there, judging me not, just standing there beautifully. I made a cup of tea and sat down. My mind went back 3 years. Thomas was very excited. Mom, I want to introduce you to someone. Her name is Patricia. I think she's the one. We met at that beautiful restaurant on Beacon Street. Patricia appeared elegant, beautiful, confident, perfect makeup, designer bag, everything in place. You must be Thomas's mother, she said with a warm smile. I'm so happy to meet you. The first 6 months were wonderful. Patricia was kind, attentive. She offered to go shopping with me. Margaret, I love you so much. Thomas is so lucky to have such a wonderful mother like you, she said. But what about the truth? When did the truth begin? December 2022, April. Thomas proposed. Patricia said yes. And that day, something changed. A very small thing, but I noticed it. At the engagement dinner, Patricia's mother came over to me. Margaret, what did you do for a living? I began. Patricia interrupted. Oh, Margaret was mostly a housewife, right, Margaret? The first lie. The first sign. But I ignored it. Maybe she's embarrassed, I thought. Maybe she wants her mother-in-law to be just a housewife. It makes her feel more comfortable. I was wrong. March 2023. 2. Wedding preparations. Margaret, I reserved a seat for you in the back row at the wedding, Patricia said, because you know, the front rows are usually for more important guests. I'm the groom's mother, I said quietly. Yes, but Thomas's real family, you know, if his father were here. Never mind. Did Thomas hear? Yes. Did he say anything? No. June 2023, the wedding. On the wedding day, Patricia's friends came over to me. Are you Thomas's mother? You look so plain. Patricia is so stylish, but Patricia's silent messages had worked. I was labeled as simple. But the worst part was this. During the wedding speech, Patricia said, Thomas, you gave me everything. Love, security, a family, and your wonderful father's spirit is here with us. I know he's proud. Her father had died 20 years ago. But me? She didn't mention her living mother. How would you feel if you were in my shoes? September 2023, 2p2. The first insults. Margaret, I'm going to ask you a question, Patricia said one day on the phone. You never went to college, did you? Actually, because you know, education is very important. Thomas graduated from Harvard, I went to Boston College, but I understand that education wasn't as important for women in your generation. I gave the second signal. I fell silent again. November 2023, Everdy A. The Thanksgiving disaster. Patricia organized the Thanksgiving dinner at her own home for the first time. Margaret, do you know how to prepare a turkey? Oh, wait, of course you do. You're old-fashioned. In your day, women were only in the kitchen, right? Patricia, I'm joking, Margaret. Don't take it so seriously. But really, I'll handle cooking the turkey. Maybe you could make a salad? Something simple? That day I told Thomas, Son, the way Patricia treats me. Mom, Patricia is stressed. She's newly married, new job. Please be understanding. And I understood. Thomas had chosen his wife, not me. January 2024. Poor Margaret. Patricia's friends came to visit. I was there too. Patricia said, Margaret is Thomas's mother. Poor thing. She lives alone. She has no children, no career. But Thomas helps her. Isn't that nice? Poor, failed, needy. These words slowly became my identity. In Patricia's eyes, that's who I was. April 2024. Financial humiliation. Margaret, I could give you some money, Patricia said one day. Your pension must be low. If you need help. Patricia, I'm financially comfortable. Oh, of course you are. But you know, expenses increase as you get older. Doctor bills, medications. Thomas spoke with me. We want to help you. But I had $2.3 million in my retirement fund. I had invested very well throughout my 28-year career as a surgeon. My house was paid off, my car was paid off, I had no debts. But according to Patricia, I was poor, helpless, and in need. July 2024. Educated. Patricia's family came to visit. At dinner, Patricia's father asked, "Margaret, which university did you attend?" Patricia laughed. "Dad, Margaret didn't go to college. In her generation, women—" "Actually, I went to Johns Hopkins," I began. "Margaret's joking," Patricia interrupted. "Old people sometimes get confused. Right, Margaret?" Thomas ate his meal in silence. October 2024. ACD. The Final Frontier. Patricia got sick. The flu. Thomas called me. "Mom, can you take care of Patricia? I have to go to work." I went. I made soup, gave her medicine, and wrapped a cold cloth around her forehead. Patricia, feverish, raved. "Thank God it's just the flu. I have to be a good wife to Thomas. I won't be a failure like you." "I'm not a failure, Patricia," I said quietly. "You are, Margaret. You didn't build a career. You got married but couldn't keep your husband. You're living alone as an old woman. What else is that but failure? My husband died of leukemia 20 years ago. After losing him, I focused on Thomas to make up for the time I'd lost while raising the children. But according to Patricia, I hadn't kept him. That day, I almost said it. I almost shouted, "I was the chief surgeon at Johns Hopkins. I saved lives in ways you couldn't even imagine." But I stayed silent. Because there was still hope. I was wrong. And now, today, October 2024, Patricia called me stupid in front of her guests. And I no longer chose silence. My phone was ringing. Thomas. Again. This time I answered. "Mom." His voice was broken. "Mom, please. I need to talk to you." "All right, son," I said. "Tomorrow. At my place. At 10. Can I come? Can I come now?" "No, Thomas. Tomorrow." Because some conversations need to wait. Some truths need time to sink in. The next day, Thomas came. His eyes were bloodshot. He clearly hadn't slept. He sat down and cried. "Mom, how did I not notice? You were the chief surgeon at Johns Hopkins and I didn't know?" "Because I didn't tell you." "But why?" "Because, son," I said, holding his hand, "I wanted you to love me not for my achievements, but because I'm your mother." "I would have loved you no matter what," he cried. She thought. She thought for a long time. "Both," she said finally. At first I was only sorry for the consequences, but now, sitting here, I really understand. I treated you very badly, and you didn't deserve that. No one does." For the first time, I saw genuine regret in Patricia's eyes. "All right," I said, "then let's talk." 2 hours later. When Patricia left, nothing had changed, but one thing had changed: honesty. During those 2 hours, Patricia told me everything. How strict her own mother was, how she got the message that she was never good enough, how she struggled in college, how her grades were never high, how she always had imposter syndrome in her career, how she always felt like she was going to get fired, and when she met Thomas, she finally thought she had won. A handsome, successful, Harvard-educated man. But then I came along. Mom. And Patricia was afraid of my place in Thomas's life. "But I was wrong," she said. "Instead of competing with you, I should have learned from you." "Yes," I said. "You should have." "Is it too late now?" she asked. "For Thomas?" "Yes. And for you." I thought. Thomas's decision is his. But for me? "Patricia, you've belittled me for 3 years. Building trust takes years, but destroying it takes seconds. Right now, I don't trust you." "I understand." "But," I continued, "if you truly change, if you truly work at it, maybe one day, maybe I could forgive you. I won't forget, but I could forgive you." Patricia nodded. "What do I need to do?" "First, you need to confront yourself. Therapy. Real therapy. To understand where these behaviors come from. Second, be honest with Thomas. Apologize, but not just with words, with actions. And third, yes? Third, never, ever judge anyone by their appearance again. A week later, Thomas and Patricia started therapy, couples therapy. Patricia is also going to her own individual therapy. Thomas is spending more time with me, really spending time, not just visiting, but truly connecting. I tell him about my memories at Johns Hopkins. He tells me about his work life. One day he asked, "Mom, why did you stay silent? Why did you wait 3 years?" "Because, son," I said, "I was hoping. A hopeless mother tries everything. I tried. But at some point you have to know your own worth. And I did. So, what happens now?" "Now," I said, "now you and Patricia need to build a real marriage, based on respect, based on honesty, and me, I'll be here, as a mother, but not as a doormat." Thomas laughed. For the first time in weeks, he really laughed. 3 weeks later, the doorbell rang. Patricia. She had files in her hand. "Margaret, I came to ask you something." I let her in. I made tea. We sat down. "I'm looking for a job," she said. "But I've applied everywhere, and no one wants me. The scandal at Chamberlain, it's been heard everywhere." "I'm sorry," I said. "I really was. And I thought maybe you could give me a reference." My eyes widened. "Me?" "Yes. Your name. Your name carries a lot of weight in the medical field. If you wrote a reference letter for me, maybe—" "Patricia," I said sharply, "you want a reference from me? You, who belittled me for 3 years, now want my help?" She fell silent. She knew how absurd it was. "Yes," he finally said, "I know how it sounds. But Margaret, I really am changing. I'm going to therapy. I'm trying to fix things with Thomas. And I want to prove to you that I can change." I looked at him. Was he really changing, or was he just trying to survive? "Tell me something, Patricia," I said. "Why do you deserve my help?" She was taken aback. I 3 years? For 3 years you called me stupid, uneducated, pathetic. You belittled me at every opportunity. Now you come to me and say, 'Help me.' Why should I help you?" Patricia started crying. Because I made a mistake, and I can't go to anyone else. You're my only hope." "No, Patricia," I said. "I'm not your only hope. You can go elsewhere, but you want the easy way out. My name makes it easier for you, doesn't it?" "Yes," she admitted. "Yes, it does. But Margaret, please." "No." The word hung in the air. "What?" "No," I repeated. "I won't write you a reference." Patricia's face went pale. But I apologized. I'm changing." "Yes, you are. And that's good. But Patricia, some consequences are irreversible. You're trying to build your career using my professional reputation. But you don't deserve that reputation. What's more, you've disgraced that reputation for 3 years. But what am I supposed to do?" "You," I said, "you will find work through your own achievements, through your own efforts, without using my name. Because, Patricia, real change comes from rejecting the easy way out." Patricia stood up. It was unclear whether she was angry or sad. You don't even feel sorry for me." "I do," I said. "But feeling sorry doesn't mean preventing you from facing the consequences of your mistakes." As she left, she turned. "Margaret, if I lose my job, Thomas and my marriage could end. Do you know that?" "Yes," I said. "I know. And that's your problem, not mine." I closed the door. "So, do you think I was right? Should you give someone a second chance? Or are some mistakes unforgivable?" 2 days later, Thomas came. He was angry. "Mom," Patricia came crying, "you refuse to help her?" "Yes." "But Mom—" "Thomas," I said sternly, "sit down." He sat down. "Did Patricia mention you? Why did she ask me for help?" "For a reference letter." "Yes. And do you know why I refused?" Thomas fell silent. "Because Patricia needs to face the consequences. She belittled me for 3 years. And now she's trying to fix her life using my name, my reputation. Do you think that's fair? But Mom, she's changing. She is changing, yes. But Thomas, change means paying a price. If I give her the easy way out, she'll never truly learn. Thomas buried his face in his hands. But our marriage? If your marriage depends on whether or not I help Patricia, I said, then your marriage is already over, Thomas. A real marriage stands together in times of crisis, not with the help of others. He fell silent. He knew I was right. Mom, what should I do? You, I said, must support Patricia. But you must let her stand on her own 2 feet. I'm not saying find her a job. Tell her, you can do it. I'm here for you. Because, son, true strength is being able to stand on your own without depending on others. Thomas cried, I ruined everything, didn't I? No, I said, hugging him. You made a mistake, and now you're trying to fix it. That's not ruining everything. That's growing up. A month later, Patricia finally found a job. A small clinic, human resources assistant position, much more modest than before, but an honest job. Thomas called me. Mom, Patricia started her new job. The pay is very low, but she's happy, really happy. That's good, I said, because happiness isn't about money. Happiness comes from honesty. And Mom, Patricia wants to send you something. Will you take it? A few days later, a letter arrived. Dear Margaret, it's very hard to write this letter, because there's so much to say, but words aren't enough. When you refused to give me a reference, I was very angry. I thought, she wants to ruin me. But now I understand. You didn't ruin me. You saved me. I had to look for a job on my own. And you know what happened? For the first time, I truly saw my own worth. My degree, my experience, my skills, without using your name, and that was liberating. My new job isn't as prestigious as the old one, but it's honest, and I, perhaps for the first time in my life, am proud of myself, not under someone else's name, but under my own. I will never forget what I did to you over the past 3 years, and you shouldn't either, but I hope that one day, maybe in the distant future, you can forgive me. With love, Patricia. When I finished the letter, my eyes were filled with tears. Anger? No. Pity? No. Hope. Because Patricia was finally learning. Late, but she was learning. Continued in part 2.